And welcome to Late Night with Stranded Sports. I can't think of anything more calming to end your weekend with than the three of us. Welcome back to Tyler Gallo, by the way. We'll let him get his piece in a few seconds. But Ethan, the last time you were live on this channel, you made a lot of new fans and maybe some new enemies too. But how do you feel about this one? That's an incredible
Um,
camera
it,
angle
it,
too.
Thank you. It's gonna be a lot better. Um, I had no dog in the fight today, so
Wow.
um, it's gonna be lot calmer, a lot more even keeled for me today. So, but I'm just a lot of good football today. A lot of good football today, and um, a lot of talk about outside of that as well. So, we're
Yeah,
gonna try to keep it
absolutely.
on the low key side of things tonight.
That's all we can ask. All we can ask. Tyler Gallo, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, it's good to be back. Good to be back and ready to talk about a couple of sports happenings lately. A couple of big games today, and a lot of stuff has gone on over the past week too.
Yeah, absolutely. Some good, some bad, some downright repulsive. Allegedly, that's an important word to throw out for now until we know exactly the scale of everything. But let's jump right into today's happenings, which was the worst Super Bowl matchup possible. Maybe not in terms of on-field product, but in terms of who a casual fan can root for. Became a reality today. The Chiefs won, which, as a Steeler fan, you can't bring yourself to cheer for the Ravens, but I thought Detroit and Baltimore would have been a really good feel good kind of game. Lamar finally gets over the hurdle, and Detroit finally ends the decades of misery. But the Chiefs winning, I was okay with until Detroit just absolutely crapped their pants in the second half. Uh, and I'm a little bummed out about it. I kept getting the parallels of this is the equivalent of if the Pirates made the World Series because they sucked for so long and they had this fun team and this really energetic coach, and they were right there, man. They were right there, and they just blew it all in what felt like a matter of moments. But yeah, takeaways from these two games we saw today, and how do we feel about this Super Bowl matchup?
Well, that energetic coach Nick that you just mentioned threw away the game for the Lions. It was a 6 point swing. 6 points were
Yeah,
left on the table there in that game. Today was just a story of the teams that lost, just kicked themselves in the foot, shot themselves in the foot on multiple occasions. Yeah, you had the Lions today leaving 6 points on the board, two field goals that were makeable. That would have tied the game. I believe at 24 at that point. Um, that field goal was, on the cusp of like 50 yards or something like that. So it would have been a difficult field goal to make, but still a makeable field goal. And then you had the one 4th and 3 in the third quarter. You're still up. Take the points. That's a 3 possession game right there, and you're smooth sailing. And then the game turned on a dime there. Baltimore Ravens, don't even get me started with them. Just too many personal foul penalties. They had, I think, 90 penalty yards in that
hmm
game. You can't give Patrick Mahomes that ability to, give him those extra yards, giving them second chances to make plays. And you saw at the end of the half the two personal fouls, then the personal foul, then the roughing the passer call later in that drive set up a field goal opportunity for the Chiefs at the end of the half, and that was pretty much all she wrote in that game. And then just throughout the rest of that game, there was just penalty after penalty on the Ravens, and the taunting penalty by Zay Flowers, and then the fumble by Flowers. It just was a whole combination of the Ravens putting together a abysmal performance the AFC Championship game. And was the officiating bad? Yeah, but if the officials called a perfect game, the Ravens still lose that one just because of their lack of composure and just their stupid penalties and stupid times.
yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of painful to watch the Ravens performance because it felt like they were losing by a lot more than they were. Like they had a chance to win the game late looking at it, and it felt like that never should have been the case. But yeah, I mean, Zay Flowers fumbling in what would have been a huge momentum swing touchdown, then injuring his finger, slamming his helmet. Lamar zipping one into triple, quadruple coverage, whatever it was. Could there have been PI? Maybe, but that's still an insane throw to try to make, give him the situation. And then Detroit. I mean, you live by the sword, you die by the sword, I guess. But and I understand they got to where they are because of that aggressive play calling, but you're in the NFC Championship. Just take the points. They just took the points to close the first half. So why did the
And
attitude change in two crucial points of the second half?
that was that one when they were on the 3-yard line. I thought they were going to go for that right away at the end of the half. There was 10 seconds to go. I thought they were going to go for that, and they didn't. So,
Mhm.
and I don't know what changed
See,
there.
that's the thing with
Yeah, I
Dan Campbell.
don't
though.
see what changed.
He never just goes. He never does that. I fell victim on Thanksgiving to having the Lions kicker in fantasy the one week, and every time they were within field goal range, they decided to go for it on fourth down. But no, I think the problem is that the Lions sort of just took a nap after the first half. I mean, and they fell victim to being just so far ahead that you sort of rest back on your laurels. I mean, we see it all the time in teams that go up big in these playoff games. They just don't know how to go for the jugular and just keep pushing forward and getting that win. And that's unfortunately what the Lions fell victim to today. I keep saying fell victim to, but that's literally what happened. And, the Ravens, I mean, what a sad way to just end the season, just to sputter out like that. I mean, high-powered offense all year, blew the doors off the Miami Dolphins late in the season, and then go in the playoffs riding high with Lamar Jackson. You're like, all right, this team's got a chance. And unfortunately, Lamar's never going to beat the allegations until he finally gets past, get over that hump. And I think he will do it at some point. And that very well could be next year, but unfortunately, that's how it happened today. And what a sad way to end the season.
And Baltimore was the most complete team out of any of the four remaining, and even in the divisional round, they were still the most complete team on both sides of the football. But just Patrick Mahomes and just the way that he played, and his receivers finally making the plays that they needed to make, the Chiefs got hot at the right time, especially at the beginning of the playoffs, beating Miami, and then last week being able to do the things that they did against Buffalo. And they just rode high. Travis Kelce, another huge game, passed Jerry Rice for most receptions in the playoffs, in playoff history. So just what he was able to do, 100 yards, I think, in the first half, too. So he was just on point, could not be stopped, made that miraculous diving catch when Mahomes got hit in that second quarter. So just everything was perfect for the Chiefs, and it sets up a Super Bowl matchup that I think nobody really wants, just because we've seen it in recent history. But I still think, especially the way that San Fran has played these past 2 weeks, winning in those types of matchups, it's just going to be a really, really fun finish to the season.
Yeah, and I think that list is now growing of AFC quarterbacks who are going to finally get over the hump, because now we have Lamar, we have Josh Allen. There's some people who think Tua. There's Justin Herbert in hypothetical scenarios. There's Kenny Pickett. There's Baker if he comes back. There's Deshaun Watson. I mean, there's so many people who are allegedly next man
You
up
just
in
go
the
down
AFC.
the entire AFC.
But what everyone's ignoring is that the Chiefs receiving core this year could have been rivaled by the DeVry University receiving core, and he still got them to the Super Bowl, minus Travis Kelce, obviously. So if this was the worst case scenario team or assets to have around Patrick Mahomes and he just dragged them to the Super Bowl, get ready to learn Canadian, buddy, because some of these guys aren't going to be able to make it to the Super Bowl. So they better hope they get up to the CFL soon, or the UFL Bowl, whatever they call that XFL, USFL mergers championship game. But yeah, it's I think I mean, we've talked about it a little bit already, but just the worst case scenario Super Bowl matchup. Do I think it'll be a good game? Sure, but there's usually something you can get behind to find a reason to root for either one of these teams, and you don't want to root for the Chiefs. Maybe I have reasons that aren't for the majority. I'm just sick of seeing them. I admire Mahomes' talent and everything. The Taylor Swift stuff doesn't bother me. Am I getting annoyed of seeing some stuff? Sure, but that's not their fault that every social media platform and their mother feels the need to post about them. It's not their fault. You can't root against them for that. And then the 49ers, like Brock Purdy just has a face that I just
Zero
And
aura.
It's a
That's what it
I
is.
know-
punchable. It's a punchable face.
I know that's horrible to say, and like he's Mr. Irrelevant, you should root for him. And sure, some of the other quarterbacks had the assets he had and couldn't do as well. But I think what really pissed me off with him was that he was in the MVP race for as long as he was, and I think it just infuriated me all year long. And am I overly harsh on him? Sure, but him being in that with Christian McCaffrey on the team and he was getting more MVP talk than McCaffrey was, that was asinine. That's asinine from everything. That's more asinine than Myles Garrett over TJ Watt because he had a better pass rush shred percentage, even though he trailed in tackles, forced fumbles, sacks, and everything else. But yeah, PFF said he won more battles getting the pass rush. You know what? I don't need to get on that right now. Sorry.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we won't. But anyway, we'll move on. Tyler, the way this show is going to work is we're all going to bring one other topic. We had a big story to talk about at the beginning, so we had to talk about the football stuff. But each week we'll bring one or two topics in and dive into it. Obviously, some very disturbing allegations with the Hockey Canada scandal. It all kind of started when Carter Hart stepped away from the Flyers, and then we heard news of this, and then some more NHLers stepped away from their respective teams. But what did you want to touch on here?
Let me preface this by saying I was actually listening to the 32 Thoughts podcast, which is with Elliot Friedman, who's one of the biggest hockey insiders. And he put it this way, which I think is the best way to really put it. And this whole situation is just a mess for everyone. And there's not really any positive that's going to come out of it. But, you know, as a New Jersey Devils fan, you know, losing Michael McLeod and to a much lesser extent Cal Foote, who wasn't really a big part of the team, and then Dylan Dubé and then Alex Formanton, who was overseas. I mean, just a whole mess of a situation. And it's been brewing for some time now. You know, and for those of you that don't know, there was a lot of I don't really know how to put it. There was a sexual assault situation at the 2018 World Junior Championships that featured the Canadian national team, featured several prominent NHLers right now. Now, the guys that were on the team were prominent NHLers, not potentially involved in the situation. But the police, the Canadian police, made players surrender to them in London, and you know, 5 players, 4 of them in the NHL, one Alex Formanton overseas, were told to surrender to the Canadian police. And you know, and I don't like that the Calgary Flames labeled Dylan Dubé as mental health in this situation. Everyone knows what it's about. I mean, he was on the team. And then today, you know, Alex Formanton, the thing that dropped that he said, hey, yeah, I surrendered to police, but don't rush to judgment. And then meanwhile, everybody rushed to judgment after that. Like, people pretty much know what's going down with it. But it's a really disheartening situation. And, you know, and like Friedman said, I mean, just really a mess for everybody. Carter Hart, you know, starting goaltender for the Flyers, one of the best faceoff men in the league, Michael McLeod, just up and leaving their teams for this. And it's pretty obvious what is going to happen. You know, big press conference on February 5th. Yeah, just, I mean, really nothing you want to be associated with. And you know, people really, it's been brewing for a while. It's been sort of off and on following, and not a lot of digging has been done into it, but it's a very, very messy situation.
Yeah, and I think, you know, not only are the allegations disturbing in of itself, but you look at the scale of it involving Hockey Canada, it involving so many players. And, you know, we still see the effects of the whole Blackhawks scandal from a few years ago. And this is not the first mainstream story of its type to hit national headlines. And hockey fails to make national headlines a lot unless it's for something negative, as we've seen a lot over the last few months. And this is just such a black eye, and it seems to be becoming a thing that's often associated with hockey players, is that they find themselves in these situations where there's multiple people accused of doing stuff like this at a time, and it's a very disturbing trend.
Yeah, and it was very poorly handled by Hockey Canada initially. The whole thing, they just sort of thought it would get swept under the rug, and you know, they pay a settlement and get away with it. But now it's rearing its ugly head. And also, the NHL just tried to deflect by announcing potential expansion to Utah, like literally 5 minutes after this thing dropped.
Which was pathetic, in my opinion. They said, hey, we are facing some serious allegations, but just putting it out there, what do you think about pro hockey in Salt Lake City? And
it's almost like they knew it was going to happen. Literally dropped, I think Frank Saravalli, who's I think Daily Faceoff, put it out like literally 5 minutes apart. The two reports dropped, and it's just like, come on, guys, like read the room. I mean,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a mess for everybody, and nobody wants to be implicated with it. I mean, literally everybody involved, because you don't understand how many people this affects. Not only does it affect the victim, not only does it affect the players involved, but all the teams and the national teams and the whole IHF as a whole is going to be, it's like you said, a huge black eye on this whole thing.
And a very large trickle down effect as well. So we'll continue to kind of follow this and see what happens, and maybe touch on it in future episodes. No good transition out of a topic like this, unfortunately. But Ethan, you didn't tell me ahead of time what you were going to bring to the table. So I don't have a lower third made for it. You're just going to tell us right now. And if we have anything to add, then I guess good for me and Gallo.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much because I was too invested in the NFC Championship game.
The one time you don't have anything to offer, Ethan?
I'll give you something.
Okay.
I'll give you something.
Okay.
And I don't know if Tyler will be able to add anything to this, but
he's got bubble guppies on the TV at the other end of his bed.
But here we go. The Steelers interviewed Arthur Smith for their offensive coordinator position today.
You mean the guy who doesn't use Kyle Pitts?
Right, exactly. Or
and barely uses Robinson.
Yeah, right, exactly. So Zach Robinson is now gone. I think he's off the table. He was hired by, I think, Atlanta, actually. Hired him the other day. So he's off the table. He was their top candidate for that OC position. Now they decide to interview Arthur Smith. Please don't hire Arthur Smith. You saw what he did in Atlanta. Just did not use the weapons they had at their disposal. They had what? How many top 10 picks over the past couple of years? They had, like you said, Pitts, Robinson, two guys that are like really, really good in terms of talent, and very good young talent options, and just did not use them at all to their abilities. And now you're gonna run into that same thing of this Matt Canada type offense of players not getting used, and their usage isn't going to be where it's supposed to be at, and the ball's not going to be spread around because you're going to be forcing it each and every way, and it's just going to be a recipe for disaster if it happens. You need a young guy. With
like real Ethan Morrison type, right?
Right. You need a young guy that is from a coaching tree, like a McVay, like a Shanahan, that's had success with an offense and that can actually mentor a quarterback that is most likely going to be Kenny Pickett, and to hopefully get him to where he needs to be at to excel at the NFL level.
Yeah.
And Arthur Smith is not that guy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this more on Stranded in Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. But just my very brief thoughts are, I don't follow Atlanta super closely. They are not a team that I find myself sitting down and watching many games. So I'm not going to pretend I have vast knowledge of Arthur Smith, but from what I've read, his quarterback development relationships have been so far. Like I've read basically that he can't be trusted to be a shoo-in to help Kenny develop and take the necessary next steps. But on paper, is his repertoire, his resume, is it probably the best of anyone they've interviewed? Yeah, but how do you look at what he did in Atlanta and be like, yippee, this is going to fix everything. This is what we need right now. I'm not sure if you can. Not sure if you can.
I might be able to offer a little bit of insight on this, being a Georgia resident now. But no, I actually one of my best friends
about that.
Yeah, one of my best friends is a Falcons fan. That man, Arthur Smith, did irreparable damage to that man. I mean, he didn't really. I wouldn't say it was like it was not great in Atlanta. I mean, they weren't also bad. Like they weren't atrocious. They were just sort of middle of the road. But I think having him in a spot like that where he couldn't really do much in Atlanta, what do you expect him to do with, I mean, unfortunately, similar, assets in Pittsburgh? I mean, I would say it's sort of a lateral move if you go from Canada to him, like Ethan mentioned. But like, I don't know. I mean, and I saw a tweet about Arthur Smith that honestly, I have never laughed harder at. Someone said he looked like a monkey that's been transformed into a human. Now read into that what you will. But yeah, no, I think
It's
with the way the
ruthless.
Falcons have sort of just been like, they haven't really been an exciting team over the past couple of seasons since he's taken over. And I don't really think that is what the city of Pittsburgh wants in this situation. I mean, and who knows? Maybe the head coaching thing can maybe play out a little bit better as an offensive coordinator. But it's really just a matter of, yes, like you said, he probably has the best credentials of anybody that they've interviewed.
I saw a tweet, and I also had the thought myself, but I'm not going to pretend it was entirely my own idea. This is a guy who has talent on the bench that he doesn't really utilize. We have seen Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and others complain about their usage. And now you're voluntarily going to bring in a guy who sometimes neglects his biggest stars in the game plan. So tell me how that's going to work out. We'll talk about it more on Tuesday. Ethan, thanks for pulling something out of your hind end there to get yourself a topic submitted. I'm going to talk about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's NASCAR. And it overlaps into other sports too. So don't sit there and think I'm going to have nothing to say. We're going to get right into our trivia portion of the night because I think we're all going to have an opinion. So during the NFC Championship, they aired a commercial of the Daytona 500, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's in this commercial. And then NASCAR Social goes, he's going to be our grand marshal for the Daytona 500, which is NASCAR's Super Bowl. I don't know how you don't know that because they brand it as NASCAR Super Bowl every chance they get. What is the grand marshal, you're asking? It's the guy who says, drivers, start your engines. And I had two thoughts. My first thought was, I hope he doesn't do whatever he did before the Rams-Bengals Super Bowl where he gave like a 5-minute promo before he finally said, let's play, or whatever the hell he did, because that was embarrassing. The second thing was just like all the hate this got. I get maybe you like The Rock or you don't. There's people calling him a sellout. Did he kind of do some crappy things with the wildfires in Hawaii where he was like asking his fans to donate instead of making it known that he also donated? Sure, like that was a little iffy the way he handled that. Ethan can't even begin to remember that without crying, so he's gone away. Sure, but like everyone's like, you're so out of touch with your fan base, and what is this? And it's like, what do you think they bring people like this in for? They bring people into events like this so maybe they get fans of theirs to tune in, and while they're tuning in, they stick around to see what this whole NASCAR thing's about. Is it rednecks making left turns? Partially, but it's much more entertaining than that little summary leads on. I just don't get it. Everyone is so hateful towards all the celebrity involvement in sports, and most of the time it's literally like, hey, we're bringing in this person to do the anthem. We're bringing in this person to do a coin toss or what have you. And it's on the off chance some of their fans tune in and they gain new fans for the sporting product through that. And throughout this whole thing with The Rock, throughout the whole Taylor Swift thing, everyone is getting so angry. And it's like, just enjoy it. You don't need to make it known how much you don't like that celebrity. You don't need to make it known that, like, I don't like how much you showed them because I don't like them. And like I said with the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce thing earlier, they don't show her that much during the games. Like they don't show it more than they would show almost any other celebrity. Someone today on Twitter said they show her as much as they would show Jerry Jones during a Cowboys game, which is extremely true. But like I said, does it get a little exhausting with every sports account tweeting references and pictures and yada yada? Sure. But like, how hard is it to scroll by? How hard is it for the 30 seconds that person's on the screen to just be like, I'm not the biggest fan of them, but oh well. How demented are you to need to go into your little Facebook group chat and be like, I cannot believe that they are giving her airtime. What is wrong with them? Live your life. Have fun. Sports are fun. Entertainment's fun. Like, get over yourself. You don't need to get angry every time someone else has fun just because you also aren't a fan of it. People like different things. That's what's great about this country. I love Ethan and I hate Tyler, but I'm here with both of them right now. I'm just kidding. It's actually the other way around. But anyway, like, enjoy different things. You don't need to make it known when you don't care for something aggressively and say F you and this is horrendous. It's exhausting. It's got to be exhausting to live your life like that. And I think with the whole Taylor Swift, Jason Kelsey, Travis Kelsey thing, we've just seen people just reach their breaking point. And it's honestly just hilarious because if it makes you that irrationally angry, I can't imagine what the people in their household have to deal with. Like your son gets a C on his test and you start berating him. Your wife or husband burns dinner and you start screaming at him and throwing chairs. Like there are some crazy people in this world. And it's the celebrity involvement in sporting things these last few months have really brought it out. And it's insane. Insane.
Amen.
Oh yeah, and I think
Amen.
the whole Taylor Swift thing's been low stakes. Like really, in my opinion. I mean, it's like like you said, they haven't really shown her that much. Initially, obviously, there was a lot of buzz around it, and because it's an interesting thing, you see Travis Kelsey with, one of the most influential musical artists of our lifetimes, and that's a big thing. But like, I think since then, it's sort of just been on the back. Like, it's been very low stakes. I really only got to catch the end of the first half because I was on the way back from a basketball road trip. But they only showed her once, I think, in the entire 15-minute portion that we were watching. Like, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. It was just like, and people nowadays find a problem with everything. So I'm not surprised people are like, oh, this is ridiculous. But I think it's just sort of been on the back burner for pretty much ever since the initial reports circulated that they were together.
Yeah, as far as The Rock goes, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing. I mean, obviously he's a very influential figure out there, and he holds a lot of weight when it comes to bringing in fans and just all the things that he's doing now with the UFL or whatever, the United Football League or whatever they're calling that, Spring Football League now. So I mean, there's a chance that he could bring in a good amount of new fans, at least to watch the Daytona 500, the biggest NASCAR event of the year of their Sprint Cup season or whatever.
Their Super Bowl.
NASCAR.
Super Bowl. Yeah, Super Bowl NASCAR, whatever their Cup series is called now. Their Sprite Cup or whatever.
No, I don't think it's just named the NASCAR Cup Series now. And then they have like 4 main sponsors, but neither one of them has the direct naming rights.
Yeah, but I think, just people getting pissed off over that, like, come on. Like, seriously, he's gonna do his little shtick and his little promo. Like you said, Nick, I hope it's not as long as the Super Bowl one, but it's gonna get people riled up. Especially in that crowd of 90, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000 people, however many people are going to sell out that track there.
That is definitely a collection of numbers right there.
Yeah.
That's a very small radius you gave. Yeah, definitely somewhere in that.
Hundreds of thousands of people. I'll leave it at that. It shows just how much I watch NASCAR. Maybe I'll tune in to the Daytona 500 just to see The Rock. I know, right?
Come over. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Well, I call him Ethan The Rock Morrison, right?
I probably would. And it's gonna bring. Yeah, it would bring me into that race. I might even watch the Clash at the Coliseum next week.
Coliseum.
Just because I saw all those ads tonight on Fox. I'm not gonna get pissed off that I see NASCAR ads left and right because the season's kicking off in 2 weeks. No, I'm gonna watch my football game and not get appalled over the amount of NASCAR ads. Just like I see Taylor Swift 10 different times on the TV during a game. Do I care? No. I saw Jason Kelsey about 20 times on the TV last week. It doesn't matter. People are just overreacting.
Yeah. Yeah. And The Rock's going to do his thing, and that comment section is going to say, cringe. This is so cringe. Yep. Why did you do this? Yep. Because everything I don't like is cringe. So annoying. Literally so annoying. Get over yourself. We're not going to get over how good this trivia is going to be. Segment I like to call Stump Stranded. Now, Ethan, we were going to do head-to-head, the game show head-to-head that we tried to do before you arrived on the Stranded banner. However, trying to get a bunch of people that work in the media field to line up schedules is nearly impossible. So I'm starting to realize maybe that's just a far-fetched fever dream. But that doesn't mean we can't do something in here on this program. So one of Tyler's first topics, because him and another friend of ours They were supposed to go head-to-head in the first episode of the relaunch. However, we never figured out a schedule, as I alluded to earlier. But I did get one of Gallo's topics. So today, I'm going to give you clues for 4 different one-time MLB All-Stars of the 2000s. And you guys are going to have to guess them. Ethan, I have sky-high expectations for you.
I don't know.
So
It's
I'll
a
read
wide pool.
I'll
Go
read
ahead.
each one by one, and you'll both guess. Not at the same time. We'll start with Ethan and go to Gallo for the first one. Then we'll go Gallo to Ethan. You get the picture. So I'll read our first clue. MLB All-Stars. We're gonna center. Actually, we'll wait to do that. One of the greatest what could have been stories in baseball. This Cubs pitcher made his only appearance in the All-Star game in 2003 before his career became marred with injuries.
Jesus Christ. Oh boy.
You just put Ethan on the spot here.
Oh boy.
He's a big name, Ethan. Come on.
Is he a big name? Oh Jesus Christ. Yeah, because the guy that I'm thinking of, I don't think he played for the Cubs in 03.
Give you a hint. It is not Carlos Zambrano.
God, that was the one I was going for. That was the one I was literally thinking
You
of.
should have just said it, Ethan. That would have been a funny.
Oh
would've
my
been a funny
God. Yeah, Zambrano was going to be my guess.
You can pass.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that.
Ethan was born probably like 2003. So
01, baby.
01. Okay, so yeah, not too bad. Gallo.
I'm gonna lock in Mark Pryor here.
That is correct. Tyler Gallo. 1-0. We're not going to keep score.
I would like to keep score.
If Ethan's going to get any of them, it's going to be this one. Ethan, this wasn't done to embarrass you. I just had these questions written and I had to use them.
There you go.
This former MLB The Show cover star made his only All-Star appearance in 2014.
2014. Yeah.
We'll start with Gallo when he's ready.
Yeah. So, what year was the cover?
What do I look like?
That's what I
I'm
was going to ask.
gonna go with Jose Bautista.
And Ethan.
Interesting guess here.
Oh boy. I'll just try to go back.
Oh, come on, Ethan. You know this one.
I'm going to go Donaldson, but I think he was in more than one All-Star game.
What if I told you Yasiel Puig was the right answer?
Oh my God, I forgot he was on 15? It was 15. He was.
I think
Yeah,
it was
immediately
15.
after I
Yeah.
said Bautista, I remembered he made 6 All-Star games. So, shame on me for
Oops.
that one.
All right, this is where Ethan's gonna have to dig deep in the Rolodex. Maybe both of you. These are actually the first one. This one's not too bad. This pitcher spent 15 years in the big leagues, last playing in 2022 with Atlanta. His All-Star selection, however, came in 2015 with the Baltimore Orioles, where he spent 7 years of his career.
Darren O'Day.
Gallo.
Yeah, that was my guess. Darren O'Day was a good one too.
Well, Ethan, you're right, but you make up no ground on Gallo. 2-1. Darren O'Day. Incredible.
Darren O'Day, former Met, by the way. They DFA'd him in 2009 after 4 appearances.
Always comes
And,
back to the Mets.
I still think I still thought that man was still pitching, like the Oliver Perez type guy.
Fun fact about Darren O'Day, another one actually. Luis Guillorme hit 2 home runs in 2022, and both of them came against Darren O'Day.
I thought you were going to tell me he knew Arthur Smith. Anyway,
He does
here's
know.
our last one. In addition to his All-Star appearance in 2009, this infielder was also a 2-time Silver Slugger over his 13-season career. His sole All-Star appearance was as a member of Toronto, where he played until 2011. This
This is
one
a
was
good one.
this one was going to be worth extra points in the head-to-head, but there are no extra points in this format.
She said infielder.
I've got
You said
I've got
infielder
a,
was wrong.
I've
Mhm.
got a name, but I know it's wrong.
Well,
But it's a good name.
good thing Gallo starts though.
I'm trying to think. Let's see. 2011 Blue Jays.
He
I got
played
a
with
feeling.
them until 2011. I don't actually. It was in 09.
She
His
said
appearances
infielder. You
in,
mean like
I mean infield. I mean not in the
like
outfield.
no like second base or like first base or like.
Oh, what
I'm
do
gonna
I look like?
go with I'm gonna go with a great name here, Lyle Overbay.
God damn it.
Oh
That's
no,
exactly
Ethan.
who I was going for. Lyle Overbay.
You're both gonna die on that hill?
Oh yeah.
That Aaron Hill?
Yeah, see, I had Aaron
Oh
Hill in my head, and I was
wow.
gonna go between him or Lyle,
Wow.
but I wanted to say Lyle Overbay.
So that's fun. That's fun though. Ethan
No,
held his own.
hey, at least I got one.
You
That's
did.
all.
It's
I
I'm
two to
proud of
one.
disappointed
myself.
myself.
Yeah.
It's a 2-1 final. Gallo wins the first ever stump stranded in a close one. And next week we'll do another. But I think that's going to do it. We only went 15 minutes over what I thought we were going to do, which in this land, that's not too bad. Any final
Not too
comments?
bad at all. Ethan, I'll let you go first.
Yeah. Everyone's going to be tuning in 2 weeks to see if Taylor Swift makes it to the Super Bowl after her trek out to Tokyo for her tour.
Tokyo, baby.
She'll be in there the night before if all goes well and no emergency doors are flying off the planes like
Or loose
Alaska
bolts on the
Airlines
wings.
or loose bolts on the wings. She'll be there for the Super Bowl in time, but that was the whole thing coming into this game today, and that's going to be an exciting Super Bowl matchup, and can't wait for even though this is probably the least exciting matchup, I think it's a pretty exciting matchup, especially getting Purdy back, especially after what happened last year, just to see him, really come from behind and. Really, we haven't seen Shanahan do that. We've seen him blow leads before like that, but we haven't seen him come back like that, and he's done it the past 2 weeks, so it's going to be a fun one.
Gallo, you got anything for us?
I just want to give a quick shout out to my beloved Georgia Southern Eagles men's basketball team. After starting the season 0-12, we are now 5-4 in Sun Belt play after a big resounding victory at Old Dominion last night. Other than that, excited for the rest of this season to play out. Also very disappointed in my beloved New Jersey Devils lately. We'll see how. But also, I'm going to see them in Arizona in March, so I'm excited about that one. See a hockey game and an NHL game in a college arena. So that's going to be cool. But yeah, two big games for Georgia Southern next week. Second place Troy, first place App State.
Oh,
coming to Hanner Fieldhouse.
Ooh, the band's playing, which means we got to get off the stage. This has been Late Night with Stranded Sports. We'll see you next time.